Hi everyone, I'm Erin Pavlina, intuitive counselor, blogger, and author. Today I'm here with my twin sister Nicole, and we are going to talk about past lives, and she's going to ask some questions that she has about it, and you might as well. So let's see what you've got. What's your first question?
So can you explain what past lives are for people who might not know?
So obviously this is our current life, and a past life is a life that you have lived before this one in another time period, in another location, perhaps as a different gender. And we have many past lives, and it's different for everybody, but a past life is something that you've experienced basically just before this one.
So about how many past lives could a person have?
So when I do past life readings for my clients, I will tune in on one past life that they've had that their spirit guides want them to know about. But sometimes people ask me how many past lives they've had, and I can tune in and get a rough estimate of how many that is. Once it's past 5 or 6, it can be a little harder for me to tell. Sometimes people have had 50, 60 past lives. Yeah. In fact, I'm working with a client right now who's exploring. She's on a past life exploration journey. And I think we've done about 20 of her past life readings. Oh, wow. And it really helps her see what her soul's progression has been. So she just keeps getting the readings because she wants to know how she's grown and in ways that she's sort of explored different aspects of her psyche in different lives. So sometimes things come back around, and sometimes there's new things that she was working on, and it all has sort of meshed together to give her a really good idea of her soul's progression.
Wow.
So that's been interesting.
And then how much time actually can pass in between a past life?
Sometimes people will reincarnate really fast. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it takes 70 years, 50 years, 20 years. Yeah. Deciding to incarnate is your choice. You're not forced to come back here. So people come back when they want to have another experience here on Earth's playground. And so you can have one life and say, that's it, I'm never coming back. You could have 20 lives, 50 lives, probably even 100 lives. It's completely up to you.
That's interesting. I actually have a kind of a personal question to ask. So I know that I have like an irrational fear of sharks because I saw Jaws when I was a little too young. But I also have this kind of fear of falling downstairs. And there is a rational aspect to it, but to me it feels irrational. Like I just have an intense feeling about that. And I've always wondered if maybe that could have been a past life.
For sure. So we call that past life trauma carryover. When you have an experience in one of your past lives that's very devastating, and it's usually related to your death, or it's related to something really horrible that's happened to you in that life, you can bring that irrational fear into your next life or into a later life. So in your case, you may have had a life where you were pushed down the stairs, or you slipped down the stairs, and you died alone and broken and bleeding and nobody cared.
Oh no.
Or whatever it was. And so now in this life, every time you see a staircase, that fear might overcome you. And it's not from anything that's happened to you in this life. It could be 100% from something that happened before.
Wow. Okay, so then is there something that you can do in this life to help yourself get over that so you're not living that in this life?
I do think it's important to try to release past life trauma if you can. It's not super easy because first you have to identify it. And then you have to sort of it's helpful to really delve into what happened to you in that past life so you can sort of get over it. Like reliving it and understanding when it happened and why it happened and how it turned out can help release the fear. I've seen this happen with a lot of my clients as we go through some of their past life trauma carryover. Knowing what happened to them helps them release it. In fact, one of my irrational fears is, being hung or being choked. So I know I was hung in one of my past lives, and I cannot wear a turtleneck. I can't wear a necklace that's tight. Can't have anything up here around my neck. And that's irrational because if I actually do put on a turtleneck, it doesn't hurt. It's not strangling me. So that's an irrational fear that I've had, and I just don't wear turtlenecks. That's how I got past that.
Does every life come with a past life, trauma in the past life?
No. So you can, I would say though that if you've had a lot of lives, especially if we go way back into Egyptian times and the BC era, chances are we all died a little horribly. But a horrible death doesn't have to be a traumatic death, because some of them feel unfair, some of them were sudden, some of them come with betrayal, and those are aspects that you carry over with you. But in the life that you had where you experienced a horrible thing, you can actually release that upon your death and not carry it over. So I definitely have had people who had horrible experiences in their lives but did not actually have the carryover.
Okay. So did you ever read for someone that didn't have a past life?
Not yet. However, so I've done more than 1,000 readings at this point. I've always been able to find a past life. In fact, sometimes I'll find several, and I'll ask the client, do you want this one, this one, this one, or this one? And so all my clients so far have had a past life for me to read. However, I do believe it's absolutely possible for a person to not have had a past life. This is their first life. And if that were to ever happen, that would be interesting for me to see it, because so far it hasn't happened yet.
Okay. And then do we reincarnate into the same country or culture or religion?
Generally, no. It can go any way. I did a reading for a guy who was very surprised to discover he was a different nationality in a previous life. I think he might have been offended, actually. But it is what it is. The Earth is very big, and the odds of you landing in the same location and the same circumstances are very slim. But not to worry, because every life holds something of value, and variety is the spice of life. And it's good to experience different cultures.
Yeah. Great.
Awesome. Well, I hope I answered some of your questions.
Yeah.
Feel free to visit my blog, to learn more about these topics and many others at erinpavlina.com. Thank you for watching. Thank you for helping me out today.
Sure. It's great.
Yes, I appreciate you. Thank you.